This week, we've got stories about iPhone 14, iPhone 15, and ways to buy your next iPhone. Hi guys, welcome back to Apple Views. It's that time of the week again where we're going to walk through everything that's happened in the world of Apple this week. And it's been busy, as you may have gathered. I put out an extra video a day or so ago about some breaking news that I'll cover again at the end of this video about new ways that you can buy your iPhone. But there's plenty of other stories to get through before we get to that, so let's get into them, shall we? So I'm going to start off this week talking about routers. Now, Apple, of course, have been in the router business before, back in 1999. Remember Steve Jobs came out with it was an iBook actually, passed it through a hula hoop just to show there's no wires connected to it. And of course, at the time, they had three different kind of routers that you could buy. You could buy the Airport Express, the Airport Extreme, or the Airport Time Capsule. Of course, that version meant you're getting wireless backups of all the Macs on the network in your house as well. But since then, they've kind of dropped the idea of being in the router game. But just for a moment, indulge me, run with me on this. Are you like me and you've got a few HomePod minis dotted around the house? You see where I'm going? How about if they were to become mesh network routers? It could kind of work, couldn't it? Colourful, vibrant, and something just looks cool around the house. It's actually also giving you better Wi-Fi. Could be an idea. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below in this video if it's something that you'd be interested in. Apple getting back into the routers game after all of these years. And once again, we find Apple paying to stay out of court. This time on a class action lawsuit. It's cost them $14.8 million. And it's all going back to a 6-month period, roughly, between the 16th of September 2015 and the 31st of January 2016. And it's for US citizens only that had an iCloud subscription. It seems their data was being stored at the time on non-Apple servers. But of course, this class action lawsuit is going to go across millions of people, I would have thought. So by the time they get the payout, I'm sure it's not going to be an awful lot, particularly by the time those greedy lawyers get their way about it. So are you in the mood for a new MacBook Air? If you are, and you can wait, may be interesting. This looks like possibly some new screen sizes coming our way early in 2023. This week, the quarterly report from the company Display Supply Chain Consultants, for whom Ross Young works, was published, and it shows that there's a new 15-inch MacBook Air coming, and we expect also that the current MacBook Air is going to get a screen size of anywhere between 13 and 14 inches, so larger screens all around on the MacBook Airs. Don't forget, we're expecting colours as well by that time. And the entry-level iPad is expected to get a larger screen too. So if it's larger screens that you want, they are coming your way. And finally, after a wait of about a year, Digital ID is now live. It's being rolled out first of all in Arizona, and it means that drivers there and residents there will be able to store their state ID and driver's license in the Wallet app on their iPhone or Apple Watch. You need to be using an iPhone 8 or later, an Apple Watch Series 4 or later. Either of those need to have the latest iOS running, but then you can just go into the Wallet app and you can store securely your state ID and driver's license in there. And I can't wait for it to come to the UK. Anytime we can carry less ID around with us, sounds good to me. So 6 months still to go until the release of this year's iPhone, the 14. Rumours are already beginning to percolate out about iPhone 15. And it's all to do with the screen technology. I found this on a Korean website called The Elect. Samsung are working on some new screen technology that will enable the Face ID detector to be under the glass for the first time. We're talking notches here. You're warned. You are warned. Apple is planning to make use of the screen on to hide their Face ID on next year's iPhones. Up until this point, there's always been a concern whether the under-display technology would be as effective or secure. But Samsung are looking to use it first of all on their Galaxy Z Fold 5. So hopefully by the time it makes the iPhone, some of those early teething problems will have been sorted. So the notch battle will continue. So with Monterey 12.3 about a week or 10 days old now, a few bugs have started to come to the surface, and this first one is to do with displays. There's been a lot of words written on forums, both on Apple's website and also on Mac Rumours website, from users saying that they're having problems connecting monitors via USB-C. Now, if you bought yourself the studio display, apparently that works just fine, but it's not going so well if you've got LG or BenQ. Apparently there's a lot of issues there. Apple are aware of it though, and they are working on an update which should be released sometime soon. Have you got yourself a studio monitor yet? I haven't. I've looked on the Apple website. There's about an 8-week delay, so I'm going to have to be patient as to wait and get mine. And just flip-flopping back a little bit, we talked about iPhone 15. These are the latest images of iPhone 14. What do you think? I think it looks pretty good. I know there's going to be people that still don't like the idea of the hole and punch at the top, but it's going to do the job, isn't it? So what do you think of these latest images and renders? On now to something that came to light again this week, and it was malware on a Mac. It's not as bad as it sounds. The malware is called Gimmick, and it was being discovered on a Mac that was running Big Sur 11.6. It already had some sort of issues with it. It had been involved in some sort of cyber espionage attack a few years ago. It's thought to have emanated from a Chinese espionage group, and it apparently attacks Google Drive devices very hard. So just beware, if you've got an older Mac running an older OS, there is this malware out there called Gimmick. Just be wary of that. And onto Twitter now, and in particular onto direct messages. If you use a lot of DMs on Twitter, you will have known that the search facility before only used to let you search for a person or a group chat. Well, now you're going to be able to use keywords as well. So it's going to be a lot easier to find those important messages amongst all of your DMs over on Twitter. And don't forget, if you want to get in touch with me on Twitter, it's D-Talking-Tech. And another bug that was found in 12.3 Monterey, this time it's to do with gamers. Apparently, people running Xbox and certain PlayStation controllers found that Bluetooth wasn't working very well at all. There hasn't been many bugs with 12.3. The one I mentioned about displays, and this seems to be the only ones that have come to light so far. But again, Apple are aware of it and they are working on a fix. So if you're gaming on a Mac, for starters, why? And secondly, if you're having issues with Bluetooth connection on your controllers, a fix should be coming real soon. And if you want to help Apple out and almost become a developer for them, well, this week, a brand new update for Safari Technology Preview was released. The idea of this is that they release a version of Safari that they're going to use in the future, and they want people to get involved to help iron out any bugs or flaws in the browser. You can run it alongside your current and functioning version of Safari. It doesn't interfere with that at all. You'll find it in system preferences and software updates if you want to get involved with it there, and I also found a website about it. This particular release, which is based on the 15.4 Safari, sees fixes for about 142 bugs that they've had reported on the current browser. So if you want to get involved and help, that's where you're going to find it. Look for the website or go to System Preferences and System Updates. Not for me, but if you want to try it, you know where to look now. Now, Apple TV is something I've really started to get into. It all began with Morning Show. I watched that and loved it. That was brilliant. If you haven't seen it yet, I suggest you do. And then I've just been getting into We Crashed as well. I've watched the first episode of that early this week and intend to get into more of those very soon. But basically, there's been an update to the Apple TV Plus website, and it's all to do with Up Next queues. So if you want to go and check out the Apple TV Plus website, you'll find there's more functionality there. And if you log into the website via Chrome or Safari, it's the easiest way of doing it. And it makes looking at television programs that you've got on your Up Next queue a lot easier to view and use. And I was speaking about Twitter a moment ago. There's been some similar kind of changes to Instagram as well. I dabbled in Instagram, but it really wasn't for me. So I don't use it hardly at all. But if you do, apparently now it's going to be easier to find chronological posts from the people that you follow in Instagram with some sort of development they made this week on the search feature. And what we're still waiting for, of course, is an app for the iPad if you're a big Instagram user. We've talked about that before. I'm sure they could do it if they want, but as yet, there's still no dedicated app for iPad. It's just a scaled up bad version of the one you get for iPhone. Do you remember a couple of years ago that Apple introduced Digital Key? It's an idea for car owners, so you don't have to have car keys with you. Something else that can be loaded into the Wallet app that we spoke of a few moments ago. Well, until now, it's only available on BMW, but added to that list now, according to Apple's website certainly, is Genesis and Kia. The early versions worked on NFC technology, which meant you actually had to get your phone out or hold the watch very close to the door. But with the latest ultra-wideband technology, it means that you don't have to get the phone out at all, and the watch just needs to be in the proximity. So I'm hoping that my car and its manufacturer will soon be adding Digital Key to it, because as I said earlier on, the less things to take with us, the happier I am. And lastly this week, this is something I made a video about very quickly the other day, and it's all to do with new ways that Apple are planning to get us to buy phones, or rather not buy phones. We'd never actually own the phone. It's an idea they've got about having subscription services on the phones. It's only going to be available on iPhone to start with. If it's a success, then it may run out onto other products as well. It's in discussion at the moment. Mark Bloomberg reported on it. It was an unnamed source at Apple that reported to him or leaked to him about this development. They're keen to get it out during the course of this year sometime. They think it could win over a lot more users for Apple because, of course, it's going to ease the burden of ownership. You'll still have the traditional ways of buying outright with cash or getting a carrier subsidy from whoever your cell phone provider is, but this is another way of getting the latest technology. Now, I assume it'd be similar to a car, that when you get to the end of the lease agreement, the subscription agreement, you could hand the phone back in. I'm sure there will have been some sort of deposit up front, and that deposit just keeps transferring over. So each time you hand the phone back, and then you go up to the next phone, upgraded as it were. So although you never own the phone, It's similar to the way, for instance, I use Adobe Creative Cloud. In the old days, I used to own Photoshop, whereas now I never own it. It's just on a monthly subscription. But that's fine by me because it means I'm always up to date. I've got the latest versions running. So I kind of like this idea. And I think this idea has got some legs on it. It's not necessarily the first time that Apple have been involved with something like this. They did it back in 2015, but that again was tied to carrier subsidies. This is the first time they're looking at doing a pure subscription basis. And it's kind of similar to the way that Peloton went last year with, I think they did something on leasing out bikes and fitness gear. So Apple are very much looking into it, and it's just another way to bring us in to the good old Apple ecosystem. See, I nearly got a video in without saying the ecosystem, but not quite. And that's all the news I've got for you this week, guys. There's been lots going on. If you want to get in touch with me, Twitter's a great place to do it, DTalkingTech. All my contact details are in the video description. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will catch you very soon with more Apple Views.